Just a step, cried the sad man. Take a look down at the madman. Theater kings on silver wings fly beyond reason. From the flight of the seagull come the spread claws of the eagle. Only fear breaks the silence as we all kneel, pray for guidance. Specters still have pity. Patient Jews for the gallows sing the praises of the hallowed. Our machines keep the furnace. If they take us, they will burn us.
What's up, Cyberspace Cadets? That's right. It's Sunday. You know what that means. It's time for some ice cream. That's right. Ice cream, you scream, well, I'll scream for ice cream because ice cream is a treat. And it's a metaphor here for a treat, and because a treat to me is talking to somebody I find interesting, that I enjoy talking to, and I want to know more about. And so that's why I named this ice cream. And it's on Sunday, so it's Ice Cream Sunday, right? I'm not a genius. I just I just pretend to be one occasionally. But okay, so today's guest is I met this guy in Randy Monkey's old Discord voice chat, like a couple years back, and I remember, like, just loving this guy. He's got a fantastic voice to begin with, so we bumped into each other occasionally on the Millions of the Zoo, and when Chaos was going on, that was a thing. And I really I've been wanting to get this guy in the seat. And ladies and gentlemen, the one and only 1 Ton Hammer. All right, how you doing? Yeah, I was just explaining to everybody. I forgot I had you on mute. that we met at Randy Monkey's voice chat in his Discord way back in the day. You remember that, man? We used to, with Reject and that whole bunch that ended up kind of like becoming the Minions. Exactly. Maddie, for sure. Yeah, man, exactly. But we'd be hanging with these people. All right. So the first question, all right, I'll start out at YouTube, and then I'll kind of get biographical for a little bit, and then interject different kinds of questions. And then at the end, we'll be back at YouTube. Kind of, tie it all up and everything. So the first question I usually ask everybody is how long have you been around YouTube? What was the main reason that you came to YouTube, and what made you decide to get on the other side of the screen, as it were?
And I found YouTube to be very good for getting information that I really couldn't get anywhere else. I have this laptop. How do you disassemble it? Ooh, let me go check YouTube. That's what first got me there. And then, of course, once I was into it, I started seeing the political side, and I ran into Barry.
Yeah, we have fixed the audio problem here.
We have an audio problem?
We did. It's fixed.
Okay. But yeah, after using it as a resource for my career, I guess you would say, I just happened to start poking around, and like I said, I ran into Bearing's content. And everybody loves Bering. Well, except for the feminists.
No doubt. The bane of feminists everywhere. The one and only Bering. And all right.
He turned me on to Monkey, and the rest is...
Well, yeah. Talk about that a little bit. Being in the chat rat, and then the whole Discord thing, how that started.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was watching a broadcast, and Bering mentioned Monkey. So I was like, oh, let me go out and check that channel out. Oh, he's got his own videos. Oh, I played a couple of videos. I like the way this guy sounds. I like this guy's voice. And I like his presentation. He's not pulling any punches. He's, right off of it. And I was like, I wonder if he has a Discord. So I, started hanging in chat and, watching what eventually became Lords of the Night. And he had a Discord server. So I started hanging out there, and people would kind of congregate there before the show, and then watch the show and kind of comment to each other during the show. And then there was like an after party. Those guys would all go do whatever they were going to do, but we'd sit and hang on Discord for a while. And that's where I met Reject.
Yeah, so, Reject set my Discord up for me. So nice to do that.
A lot of people's Discord up. Yeah. She did Weebos and a bunch of other people.
I mean, it's like I didn't know it was, I thought it was really user intensive and it intimidated me, all this shit.
Mhm.
You know,
She,
and she did a fantastic job, man. She was so nice.
yeah, her
Um,
and Chaos are really good at setting up servers. And we
Yes,
was
sir.
writing scripts for now too, so I mean, it's like everyone's gotten very much into the
Script Kiddies.
Discord. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Script Kiddies 2.0.
How many people do you think know that term?
I don't know, man. It is pretty.
Not many people. I know.
yeah.
I'm an old guy, so I know what it is. But
Yeah. Am I dating myself? I don't know. Did you hear the music that opened up for us?
yeah, it's Emerson, Lake and Palmer, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Chosen with you in mind.
How do you play copyrighted music like that and not get your hands smacked?
I get it smacked. I mean, I'm not monetized, so.
Oh, okay. Well, you can get away with it then.
They claim exactly.
Claim it. Who gives a shit? They're going to claim,
Well, I'd rather the money go to Carl Palmer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That whatever penny out of that,
Sure.
out of that 15 cents they can get, to him, fuck, I mean, he's the only
Yeah.
living member left now, man. Keith
Yeah.
Emerson took his own life, anyway. It was sad. And then Greg Lake passed not long after him.
Yeah. Yeah. Been a fan of Emerson, Lake and Palmer ever since brain salad surgery.
Fantastic album.
Yeah. What a great drummer.
Yeah, exactly. That Knife's Edge is from their very first album from 1970. It still has gravity. I don't know. It's still got just a great song.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So, what's the idea behind the persona of the one-ton hammer, and how much would you say that the one-ton hammer is really you?
That's it's gonna be a disappointing story. Every time I've told, everyone's like, it's not that great of a thing. I was a big Quake player for a long time. I actually went to a tournament out in Carlsbad with my Quake group. We played Quake World, and I actually traveled out there for Quake World for a tournament. I was part of a Quake clan that had some success, so we went out there and played locally in their LAN games against each other. And back during those days, there were very few resources for the game. Not like today. If you're playing COD, you play any game now, there's 1,000 websites for it. You can find any kind of setup you want. I mean, like I type in HOTS, I go to Icy Veins, and you can find out every configuration for every player that you could possibly want. But back in the days of Quake, there was only a couple of websites, and one of those websites that I spent all of my time on was called 10-Ton Hammer. Now, I don't know where they got that name from, but I didn't want to just rip it off. So I subtracted 9 tons and became 1-Ton Hammer. So, like I said, it's a very story, but
No, it's not. That's some good deep lore, man.
yeah, there's a lot of me behind the name, though. I'm not much different in real life than I am when I'm online as Hammer. So
I feel you.
the only real thing I have, little thing that irks me about all this, is that I know people for a fairly long time. We've been out on Discord and on YouTube for a while now, and people still call me by my entire name. Maybe it's a pet peeve, I don't know, but like we'll be watching a show and I'll be in chat and they'll say, "Oh, and there's the 1-Ton Hammer." Dude, you've known me for 3 years. Just call me Hammer.
Just hand the time. That's right.
Oh, and I get all those Hammer time. You can't touch this. I get all that stuff all the time.
That's right.
But I like it. I'm a fan of that time period in general. So it's not a big deal if somebody brings it up to me. I kind of enjoy it.
Is there a food from your childhood that you couldn't stand, but in adulthood you actually like it a lot?
A food I couldn't stand when I was a kid, but I like now. Pork and beans. I have no problems on hot dogs. I eat them a little strange, just ketchup. That's it. I know everyone's got relish and mustard and all that kind of stuff. I'm straight up just ketchup. But my mom would always make hot dogs with pork and beans, and she put like brown sugar in it, stuff like that, and just kind of sweeten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would be like, beans, and I just would not eat it, and I'd not even put it on my plate. Give me another hot dog. Give me 2 hot dogs instead, that kind of deal. But now, oh my God. Now man, I could eat it every day for lunch. Just for some reason, the savory, salty, sweet, soft in your, the mouthfeel, all that kind of stuff. I just love pork and beans. It's one of my favorite foods. Is that the strangest answer you've ever gotten from a?
No, man, that's a great answer. Well, it's like everybody's different. That's why I like to ask this question. It's a really weird question, but everybody's got an answer for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right, so who would you say is the most influential person on Young Hammer growing up? What kind of kid were you?
I didn't really have anybody. I mean, my dad was not a great dad. He was around, but he worked 18 hours a day. I barely ever saw the man. And he had some alcohol issues and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to be a whiner or complainer or anything like that, because I know this is kind of common nowadays, but I didn't really find a good solid male role model until I got into high school. And of all things, it was my computer teacher, Mr. Kalodner, Kalodner. He's passed a long time now. And he reinforced my love of computers. I guess he saw that I was like, this is so cool. Oh, I gotta do. How can I do? What can I do? How can I? I got very enthusiastic about it, and he didn't say, sit down, just do your homework. He wasn't one of those kind of teachers. He was like, are you interested? Really? Well, here's some stuff. Here's some more stuff. And you can look at this, and you can do that. And he just fed me, and I just ate it up. And he was such a, I'm having a problem with this program. I just can't get it. You'll get it. Take some time, step back, look at it again. I have confidence in you. I mean, I never got that kind of stuff from my dad.
Right.
But this guy, you hear about how teachers can shape young lives. This guy, this is definitely an issue where that happened. I owe my entire career to the man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a beautiful little homage to him. That's good. I like that.
By my second year, I was able to take all 4 years with his class. I was in high school. By the second year, I was helping him teach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're like a duck to water with this.
Oh, man. I can't tell you. Some people, I know friends, even now, friends that are, 40, 50 years old, who don't really know what they want in life, or really what they want to do. They've been doing things, they've been making money, but they're not really enthusiastic about it. They might be good at it, but they never found a focus. I got that early on. I knew in my first year of high school, I'm definitely making computers. I love this shit and I'm good at it. It's nice to have that, because a lot of people don't. They go to school for liberal arts and stuff like that. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I go for college for. I knew I went to college for computers. I took, I have a bachelor's in computer science and a bachelor's in American contemporary literature. One for the soul, one for my paycheck. So I double majored, and that was the end of my schooling. But that decision to be in computers has been, something I can always hold on to no matter what. Something is going wrong, I always have computers. I know them. If I need a job, I can get a job tomorrow. If I was able to work, I'd be just like that, back into the workforce doing computer stuff. It's almost natural. It's like breathing.
That's cool. What kind of kid were you? Were you a typical like computer type nerd, like an introvert and
No, that's kind of a dichotomy.
See, I don't get that from you. That's why I asked.
Yeah. It's kind of a dichotomy with me, because yes, I was definitely in computers. There's no doubt about that. But all through middle school and high school, I was actually an athlete.
Wow.
I am just over 6'3", and in high school I was about 210 pounds. So for the first 2 years of high school, I was a jock of jocks, because I was bigger and stronger than everybody else. I was playing football. All my time that I wasn't screwing around in class, I was in football.
What position did you play?
For a year I was playing Iron Man, because we didn't have much of a football team at that time period. But I played defensive lineman. If you ever saw the movie Blindside.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was my job, to protect the quarterback's back.
Right.
But I got a cut block and broke my knee. Well, tore the shit out of my knee, and that was the end of my football career. But I played 2 seasons, and we had like 2 sacks, and it wasn't from my side of the line. So I mean, I was just dominating. I'm picking people up and throwing them down and shit like that because they're still growing, and I was already I was already full size, So it was quite unfair, and you could tell people, were double teaming me and doing all kinds of stuff trying to get around me. But yeah, I was quite the jock actually, and I was actually in the ROTC as well. So a lot of weird combinations there. I was a computer guy, but I was also kind of in the military, and I was also a jock, and so. Well, maybe a little bit of everything, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, starting to see some, arrows pointing in a certain direction, right?
When I graduated high school, I had the option of what I wanted to do next. Did I want to go in the military because I was in ROTC for 4 years? I would have went in at a higher rate than everybody else because I already had 4 years of experience in the junior ROTC. So going into the military, I don't remember what the actual numbers are, E5, E12, whatever it is, but I would have gone in more than somebody who just walked in the street. So I would have had a head start. But my dad said, before you make that decision, because my dad was in the military, before you make that decision, he says, just take a year and work. Just, get a job, take a year. At the end of the year, you want to go in the military? No problem. So he got me a job working for the state government, not in the state next to me. I was in Pennsylvania. But he got me a state government job in New Jersey, and they gave me the family car, and I spent a year working, and I made good money. It was nepotism. He got me the job. His best friend where he worked, his son was a supervisor. So I walked in at 17, wasn't allowed to have a state job. You have to be 18. Walked in at 17. And the guy who was the contact says, I want you to meet my boss. And we walked in and shook hands with him. And he says, welcome aboard. I didn't say a word. And there was no interview, nothing. Handshake, wow. Welcome aboard. Just like that. I was like, I like working. This is going to be fun. And I was making good money. They bumped me up pretty quick. Not so much that I was like bumped over everybody else, but they didn't waste any time promoting me.
Right.
And it was in computers, so I drew to it naturally. So yeah, that was I had to make that decision, and I just once I got a car of my own, I had enough money. I was making payments on a new car. It wasn't a great car; it was a Ford Escort, but it was mine. And I never turned to the military. I never really considered the military after that. I was just too happy making some money and having a girlfriend.
The old Ford Escort, man. Remember that shit? Yeah. And we're going to come back to the adult stuff. I'm going to cover a couple of things
sure.
before we get there. What about, do you have like a Christmas special or a movie or some kind of carol that kind of rings that holiday spirit for you, that resonates with you?
That's a good question. There's a couple of Christmas movies, of course. What's the one where the angel gets his wings, 34th Street or something like that, with Jimmy Stewart?
No, that's
Miracle on 34th Street.
No, that's the other one. God, what is the? I can't remember
help
the name.
Us out, chat.
Yeah, it was.
I could look it up. I'm sure I have the movie.
Oh my God! It
was
just left out of my brain.
That's the one that. Yeah, that's the one that always kind of gave me that Christmas spirit feeling. Yeah, you have to watch it every Christmas. You have to watch it. It's required watching. Come on, Chad, help us out here.
I had a friend whose grandmother was Donna Reed. Yeah, she's the female lead in that movie. I'm gonna look this shit up. Fuck it. I'm embarrassed because it's like one of the most famous movies, and it's like. It's a Wonderful Life. God damn it!
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. Sorry to cussing y'all, but it was perplexing me. It is a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, that's kind of like
Yeah, man.
Required. Yeah, you have to watch it. I mean, it's like the Halloween special, Charlie Brown. It's Halloween, Charlie Brown. There's certain movies that you have to watch at seasonal events. The other one was there was the claymation one with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. He Miser.
That's great
Sun.
too, man.
It's funny that I remember that off the top of my head, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I remember all those, man. You know, you put one foot in front of the
other. Yeah. Skip and RVA got it. The RVA Dar got it.
Yeah. We're old people talking about old shit, y'all. So
yeah,
it's good. You know, man, I'd rather be where I am right now than to be 20 years old.
There are some advantages to having experience in life. I've kind of run into this a lot lately with the whole okay boomer, because I know a lot of people who get upset with that, because the intent is to insult you. That's the intent behind it. You don't know what you're talking about. You're an old man. Okay, whatever. It's basically what they're saying. Okay, boomer. Okay, whatever. You know, you're old. What the hell do you know? But I see it more of a compliment than anybody else does, because what they're saying is, I can't argue with you because you have more experience than me. That's what they're saying. They're ceding the high ground right away. As soon as I say, okay, boomer, all they're saying is, you are on the planet longer. You have more life experience. I cannot compete with you. That's how I hear it in my head.
I see what you're saying. Right. It doesn't come out as acidic as one might want, you know, because it is an acknowledgement that you have more experience and
yeah, somebody says that to me. I'm like, thank you. You're right. I do have more experience than you do. What the hell do you know?
Exactly. Sit the fuck
I immediately
down.
go to, all you're doing is telling me I turn their attempt at being dismissive into my proof that they are stupid. So
while I've got this on my mind, I want to say hey to the chat real quick. Your boy Pat, hey man, Duck Dog, RVADAR. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it Ruvadar or just say it with the initials. I'm not sure. Sora Luna. Oh, Sora Luna. Memes of Destruction. How are you doing? Sir Adamantine, greetings. And if y'all have any questions for Hammer, okay, before we end, I will ask for questions from the chat. So if you've got any, jot them down, and then when it's time, I'll instruct you to pop them in the chat so we can do this thing. All right, and we're going to move on. Let's see. If you could go back in time and talk to Little Hammer at the age of 8, what would you tell him?
Oh, that's actually a pretty easy question for me to answer. Dude, cut back on the sugar intake.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I was in great shape. I was hitting the gym every day, after school, if I didn't have some kind of ROTC practice or something like that. And I was in great shape. But like I said, I was 210 pounds, low body fat. Back then, even though they didn't really measure electrolytes and all the things that we know now, I was still in pretty good shape. But once I got into the workforce, got out of high school, got out of college, and got into the workforce, I got kind of sedentary and I ballooned. I got huge. At one point, I was 380 pounds. Yeah, I got really, really big. And I had onset diabetes. The amount of sugar I was taking to get me that fat, and the fact that I had that much fat in my body, my pancreas just said, no.
You're on your own, motherfucker.
I'm sorry, you fucked up, dude.
Yeah, no
sorry.
shit.
I'm not sure if we're allowed to curse, but this is me.
Yeah, man, this is me
yeah,
too.
So I just wasn't paying. I didn't really care, and so I met a girl at 380 pounds. I met a girl who was 5'9". Well, I say 5'10". She kept on saying 5'9" because she didn't want to seem so tall. And about 140 pounds and absolutely gorgeous. Runner's legs. I mean, she was just a specimen. And she liked me. I'm 380 pounds and she liked me. So we started dating and I got married. I know I saw Mingtel fly by a little while earlier in chat. I was married. And I was married to her for 3 years. And in those 3 years, I started losing weight. And I got about 90 pounds lighter while I was married. And she kind of taught me how to eat right, because I was just like, oh, let's go to McDonald's. Oh,
Mm.
what do you want to do for dinner? Let's go to McDonald's. Oh, you want a snack for tonight? Let's go to McDonald's. You know, I was just eating like the worst kind of food you can possibly think of on a regular basis, and it was just slamming down Slurpees from a 7-Eleven, you know, and it's just sugar water. It's just slamming it down. So she got me off of all that. She got me onto have some chicken, you know. You want some corn? You know, and I didn't really exercise. She just got me eating properly. And I started losing weight, and I liked the fact that I was losing weight. So even when we ended up going separate ways, I stayed eating the same kind of food that she was talking about, and learning how to cook myself, because I didn't know how to cook. I was mama's boy. And
I feel you, man.
it took me, 2.5 years, but I got down to about 250 pounds. And I have never been over 250 since. I'm at 223 right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So the great thing about that is, as my weight dropped, the diabetes went away. So if I go out there right now and check my blood sugar, it's like 105,
Cool.
which is perfectly normal. And although I have something called Novolog, which allows you to, it's like a false insulin. It causes your sugar to drop to keep you from having high sugar. I haven't had to take a Novolog corrective shot in over a year. Just my diet has kept me sugar diabetes free. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have all the symptoms of being diabetic when I was fat. My hands are mostly numb. I have issues with my vision. I'm missing toes. It certainly has done damage to me. And that never stops. Even after your sugar is perfectly fine, that part of diabetes that causes damage to your nerves, that doesn't stop. That keeps going regardless of what your sugar is.
Wow. Progression.
So, yeah.
After. Yeah.
Yeah. The great thing is, though, if you keep your sugar in control, the progress of it is almost nothing. It's a snail's pace. Still goes, but it's snail's pace. So that's why whenever I talk to somebody, especially in chat, I say, if we're going to have some kind of conversation, why don't you meet me on Discord? Because it's difficult for me to type. I can't feel my fingers. I have to watch my fingers as they type, because I can't feel when I'm typing. I have to regularly check my hands to make sure that I haven't cut myself, because I'll be doing something, I'll notice that I'm bleeding. I'll be like, what's, because like the other day, I opened up, I get these, ever hear of Dinnerly? It's meals that they ship you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I put something in the microwave and took it out and took the plastic off, and I didn't notice, but there was steam, and the steam went up my left forefinger. 2nd-degree burn. Didn't know anything about it.
Oh, snap. Yikes.
Yep. And I'm doing stuff, and I'm like, why is my finger wet? I'm like, oh, there's a bubble. So of course I put all the proper medication on it, wrapped it up, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I never even felt it. It burned me, it melted my finger, and I never even knew.
Is it better now?
I took a picture and put it on Twitter when like a day after it happened. The funny thing about my diabetes is I heal like a normal person, which is unusual for somebody with diabetes.
That's awesome. That is a blessing.
I had a problem where I was having edema. I don't want to get into all my maladies, but I was having problems with edema with my legs, and the skin is stretched so tightly that it ruptured and caused wounds on both my legs, because I wasn't really paying attention. Just being stupid. And I had a home health care nurse coming out every day and changing the bandages on my legs so I wouldn't get infected or lose my legs, that kind of stuff. Because as soon as a diabetic person gets something on their feet, you want to make sure it's taken care of right away, because you don't want to start losing stuff. I've already lost stuff, so I'm very protective. And yeah, my right leg had like 3 serious ruptures on it. One of them on the heel and 2 just above the ankle. And my left foot had 1 on the left ankle. And the right foot healed. I have a little bit better circulation in my right foot than I do my left foot. The right foot healed like in a month. And that was like, she's like, I don't know how you're doing this. She says, you're diabetic. You're not supposed to be healing this quickly. And it's not like they weren't taking care of me. Like I said, they were seeing me every day. They were putting on this special salve. You've heard how leeches eat dead skin?
Right.
This is a salve that has a biotic component in it. It's very expensive. It's like $1,000 a tube. My insurance covered it. And what it does is it acts like a leech. You put it on like a regular salve, no big deal. It's white, like creamy. It looks like Desitin, kind of is what it looks like.
Right.
But it eats all the dead skin, but leaves the regular skin alone. So as long as it's you have something antibiotic on top, and then this salve underneath, there's really no chance, unless you do something stupid, of getting an infection.
Nice.
And I heal quickly. So yeah, I now they when they take care of they don't just bandage wounds, but they wrap my legs from the toes to my knees. Initially with something called cling. It's like a white mesh. There's two types. There's a cling is one, and there's another name for it that's more stretchy. But the less stretchy one is what they wrap my legs with. And then they were using ace bandages, but they kept falling off, so they came up with stuff called Coban. It's kind of like the same idea. It comes in a roll, and it's kind of self-sticky. If you ever had a needle and they didn't put a cotton ball and tape on, but they kind of wrapped a blue tape around you, that's Coban.
Right.
Except it's the version that goes on your arm is an inch thick. The one that goes on my leg is 4 inches thick.
Oh wow!
And they wrap the leg from toe all the way up to my knee. So I get now, with me being stable, they only come by twice a week to wrap my feet.
That's good, man.
Yeah, so I'm actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah. So as a young person, what was elementary and middle school like for you?
Elementary was pretty uneventful. I wouldn't say I was popular, but I wasn't unpopular either. Like I said, I had like maybe 10 good friends and a couple of people in each class who I had made friends with. It was pretty uneventful as far as middle school was concerned. That changed in high school, though, because being in several different circles, I knew a lot of people. I wouldn't say that I was popular, but I knew a lot of people.
It sounded like to me you were BMOC, man.
Big man on campus?
That's right.
You know, for the people who followed football, I was popular with them. The nerds kind of stayed to themselves, even in their own circles. So there was no real popularity there because no one in the nerd community knew how to be popular. You know, there was nothing about them that made them popular. As far as the ROTC stuff, I did a little bit better than a lot of the people. I ended up being color guard commander in my last year. There really wasn't much beyond that, except for drill team commander, which is a little bit higher, and then company commander, which was the next one up from that. So I got to color guard commander. So that was, you know, pretty good. But yeah, the only popularity where people would like say, "Hey Dan, why don't you come to the party?" That was all the jocks, all the jocks.
Right. So, all right, go ahead.
I let it get to me because I was in other places that would kind of kept me grounded, you know.
So, all right, and I kind of knew. I modified this to fit you specifically. I'm not there yet. All right. So, what was the craziest thing you did as a young person?
Craziest thing. As a young person, you're not saying high school. That's good because I don't really do too much crazy in high school. But it's the day that I got out of college, graduated that day. I went to my local Kawasaki dealer and bought the fastest bike I could get my hands on.
Killer.
And within a week, I had experienced what 160 miles an hour was. That was probably the craziest thing. Because when you're that young, you're bulletproof, right?
10 feet tall.
You're like, yeah, this machine is made to do this, and I'm such a great driver that nothing could ever possibly go wrong. Let's just see what kind of balls this motorcycle actually has. So that was probably the craziest thing I ever did in my youth. Is I took a real risk. Route 95, just outside of Philadelphia, and it was on a weekday in the middle of the day. So everybody who's going to go to work was at work, and I had to hit rush hour for everyone coming home. So 95 was barren. I could see for miles and miles and miles. In the area that was nearest to my house, there was never any cops there. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I just nailed it. And that bike, holy mackerel. I love that bike so much that after I did smash it up, I bought another one, and I have one today. That same style.
Still Kawasaki, yeah.
Kawasaki ZL 900 Eliminator. I still have it. It is the worst bike you want to ever buy. You never want to buy this bike. I mean, I know it's like an antique now because the one I had was 85, and the one I have now is 86. Wow. So you compare that to the market now for 2020 motorcycles.
Oh, dude, yeah, that aesthetic's awesome too.
But it's a bike that can do nothing right. It is very long and low,
high maintenance.
So you can't really bend it over. It's not a racer. But it has a 900-inch engine, which is the same engine that's in the racers. So it's got the balls of a racer, but you just can't drive it like a racer. And it has no room for saddlebags or cups or radios and that kind of stuff. It's very stripped down. So it's not a utility bike either. And the tank on it is very small in relationship to the rest of the bike. So you can't cruise with it because you can't go any distance because you run out of gas. And even though it's long and low, you really can't drag with it because it doesn't have chain drive. It has shaft drive, and you get shaft rebound. So you can't race with it. It's a bike that can do nothing right. It's like that horrible little dog that celebrities keep in their purse. It's ugly, but it's cute.
Yeah. Nice metaphor.
I've been on a lot of different bikes. Everything from a KZ650, which is a utility bike. I had a ZX9R, which is a racing bike. I've had cruisers, and this bike drives like none of them and acts like none of them. So I don't know. It's something special. This bike just calls to me. And like I said, if you were to come to me and say what bike, I would say, well, I can tell you what bike not to get. Don't ever get one of these. Yet it's the only bike I own, and probably the only bike I'll ever own. I don't think I'll ever buy another bike. This will be my last one. So yeah, that was the craziest thing I did. I experienced 160 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
It's pretty
dude. I know that. I bet it was awesome. All right, so yeah, I usually ask people about the first time that they got wasted, right? And I know you're more of a teetotaling kind of guy, so I'm gonna ask you about your first time with a chick.
Well, you're right to back off the wasted, because I haven't had alcohol since I was in my early 20s. I think I had a couple of drinks, a couple of weeks in the period after I graduated, and I haven't had alcohol since. Although there are certainly times where, you just cut the grass. It's the middle of the summer. It's 95 degrees outside. Sun's blaring down. You just cut the grass. You're half out of breath. You come up and you slam yourself down in the chair and you say, gee, I can go for a cold beer right now. So there are times where I think about, of course I don't have any in the house, but it certainly has crossed my mind more than once. And I've never smoked anything, cigarettes or anything at all. Maybe that's the nerd in me. I want to have control at all times.
Sure.
Maybe that's the masculinity in me. Maybe I'm afraid of what I'll be like if I lose control. I'm a big guy. Get me pissed, and I can, do something really stupid. So maybe those are valid reasons. I don't know. The first girl that actually could be an interesting story. I was brought up Catholic. I'm a white guy. My first sexual experience was with a young, willing Jewish girl, and it was. I still wonder till this day whether it was really me she was interested in or just a big middle finger to her mother. I really think it's the latter of the two.
Did it matter?
Because her mother hated me. She hated me. She would call me the Gentile.
Goyim.
She wouldn't call me by my name. She wouldn't call me by my name. She's, are you and the Gentile going out tonight? Right in front of me. She just hated people who weren't Jewish. I mean, what's the opposite of anti-Semitism? I don't know, whatever that is. For me, it wasn't a big deal. For me, it wasn't a big deal. I said, well, you're Jewish? What does that mean? At the time, I don't know. When I was brought up, my school was pretty integrated. So although my dad was a raging bigot, I never understood the intricacies of any of that kind of stuff. He would just say names that I didn't understand when he got mad.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't care. I was like, you're Jewish? So? You're black? So? Made no difference to me either way. You know,
Mm.
you like me, I like you. Let's go on a date. So yeah, her mother was at work. We had a day off from school for one reason or another. I can't remember. It was some holiday or something like that, and we had a day off from school, and we were all at her house, her and her sister. And we were flirting and all that kind of stuff, and she just grabbed me by the hand. She said, "Come with me." Into the bedroom we went. Yeah, completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first.
So she turned you out.
Yeah, she took my virginity. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah,
Catholic boy losing his virginity to a Jewish girl. I gotta say, my experience with Jewish women isn't what the people say they are. They are very wonderful young ladies. They are. Let's leave it at that.
Every Jewish girl I was ever in contact with was real sweet and very loving.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess they have a bad rap as being frigid and demanding. And
oh, not frigid. No.
I don't believe any of that's true.
Not my experience. Just saying.
So, yeah, her name was Karen. I can say that.
Oh, but she wasn't a Karen, right?
No, she wasn't what we consider a Karen today. That whole thing didn't exist back in when I was young. But I probably can get away with saying this too. Her name was spelled Caryn. The most unusual spelling of the word Karen I've ever seen before or since. Yeah, she was fantastic. She was very patient with me, and you know, she's like, she picked up on it. I was like, "You're nervous?" I was like, "Yeah." She says, "You haven't done this before, have you?" I was like, "Not really," which is basically no.
Not with a girl, right?
Yeah. So
not with somebody else, right?
Yeah, she says, "Don't worry." She says, "Don't worry about me. We're going to take care of you." I was like, "All right."
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that was that.
Buddy.
Good experience.
Nice.
How many people can say that their first sexual experience was a good experience? Mostly no women. Very few men.
Yeah. Kind of quick the first time.
She taught me a lot. I mean, besides the actual act, she was like, "Oh, and you know, just to explain, this is the part of the woman that you want to pay attention to, and this is the positions that you know are more, you know, more advantageous." And she's like, she took me to class. She taught me. This is, you know, put this here, touch this there. She was like, you know, so I learned a lot from her. Anyway.
I think that's a great story, man.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that since it happened. Probably.
Yeah, I might.
It's been years.
I like this question. You know, I think it takes us to better places. I might just switch that out. Thanks. So, all right. What about music-wise? What was your first concert? What was your first album you ever owned?
First concert was Pat Benatar.
Fuck yeah.
At the Spectrum in Philadelphia.
Nice.
Back when the Spectrum existed.
Right. Was she a headliner, I guess?
She was a headliner. Yeah, I don't remember who was opening for her. Because
it's a Spectrum. What kind of venue is that? Is that like a Coliseum type thing? Or is it a
Coliseum. It's indoor Coliseum, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Philadelphia Spectrum. Soon replaced by the Vet. That's where the Eagles played. And where I saw my second was David Bowie. And that was fantastic. I mean, Pat was great. She performed great live, and she had no problems hitting all the appropriate notes in Barracuda back when she sang the original lyrics and all that kind of stuff. And it was a great show. It was more visual. The audio was okay, but it was more of a visual show. And she can, you know, she can dance. But Bowie, the music, oh my God, the system that they had, they hung speakers up near where people were sitting in seats. They weren't just on stage blaring across a long distance so you hear all the echo. Wow. They actually had speakers, you know, a couple 100 feet away from all the seats everywhere. So when he sang and the music played, it was like listening to a record. It was beautiful. And nice. Bowie show. There's only a couple of shows that were better than Bowie. My third show was Electric Light Orchestra. And oh my God, that was amazing.
They're a very talented band. You know, a lot of people don't know how good ELO really is.
Yeah. I'm still a fan to this day. They just did a about a year ago, Jeff got the band back together. It's now Jeff Lynne's ELO.
Right.
And they did a show at Wembley. Man, it's on YouTube. You guys get a chance. I think it's on YouTube.
I'll check it out. Yeah. I love listening to live concerts and stuff when I'm like, especially when I'm tooling around doing stuff, for the YouTube stuff. Yeah.
It's like listening to the record. And the production quality that he had to go through, because he has strings. It's an orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
So there's literally 25 people on stage. 3 backup singers, 3 cellists, 2 violins,
Right.
5 keyboards, space, it's a huge production for him. And he said that if he was ever going to be on stage as ELO ever again, he would make sure that every instrument was represented. So whatever he used on the record, they were going to have that person on stage to do it. So yeah, if you go out there on YouTube and listen to the Electric Light Orchestra Wembley Stadium, I think it's 2019 or 2018 or something, I think, maybe earlier. It is just, the sound quality is fantastic, and it's literally like, and the things that you wouldn't think of, like there's a song called Turn to Stone that fades in. If you ever listen to the record, he fades it in on stage.
Nice.
Everyone plays lightly until it gets louder and louder. It's like, what band does that? What band is so truthful to the original material that they play it exactly like it was on the record?
Verbatim, right. There's only a handful of bands that can do that. Rush was one.
Yeah.
Dream Theater. The very, very ELP. Everything I've seen live from ELP has been incredible too.
Yeah,
man. So, what about guilty pleasures music wise?
Guilty pleasures. In other words, what do I generally listen to? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, like I'll come clean first. I'm a Poppy fan. I still like Poppy. I like work. Yeah.
My musical taste is pretty eclectic. I can listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I can listen to Taylor Swift.
Nice.
There's only a few things that I can't stand. Well, actually, I'm not sure if it's a few things, but I really, boy, people are going to hate me for this. I really cannot stand country music. And the reason is, I'm a musician, or I was a musician back when I was in my 20s. I shattered my left wrist, so I can't really play keyboards anymore. But I still know musical theory, and I still have an ear for it. But country music is just too simple for me. If you can play 3 chords, you can play most country songs.
Well, and modern country is not even really country anymore. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's more pop.
Yeah, it's become more pop rock.
Yeah. But I mean, the Waylon Jennings and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
The old twangy shit.
Yeah. If you know 3 chords, you can play anything. So it was an insult of intelligence.
Well, yeah.
Your music is not smart enough for me.
Well, and then there's guys like Neil Young who are deceptively simplistic, right? And that can work. You can make that work too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like pop music is particularly complex either.
No,
but at least it's 4 chords.
Yeah, and
and it's not really 4 chords. It's the progression that we're talking here about. But if you ever go out on YouTube, search on 4-chord song, and you'll get a band that comes up that runs through probably 30 songs using the same 4 chords.
Yeah, or the Ramones. I mean, think about them.
Yeah, I mean, but they hit everybody. They hit Green Day. They hit even like Pictures. There's a song called Pictures. I can't forget who it's by. Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. These songs are all identical because they play the chords and they just sing to that song, and they change the words and sing that song, and it's exactly the same. He's playing exactly the same 4 chords on his keyboard.
Right.
It's like,
that's why mashups are so easy to do.
Yeah. So that's why popular music sucks, because it's all the same thing.
Yeah. There's a guy named Rick Beato who does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he talks about how the influence of computer in the recording process, right? The relying on Pro Tools, right? Has kind of taken the soul out of music now.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to like Led Zeppelin or some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear sometimes the drums will slow down or pick up just a little bit, you know, and you'll never hear that with, you know, digital precision.
Right. You just set the boombox to play the actual beat, and you just go sing.
Exactly.
And you never have to worry about it, you know, or pre-program.
There's an
drum track.
advantage to that. And I guess, you know, he sees it as a disadvantage now because there's such a reliance on it and auto-tune.
Yeah, the name of the band is called Axis of Awesome. They're an Australian band.
Oh, cool.
Three guys who do the 4-chord song thing. So if you get out on YouTube, search for 4-chord song Axis of Awesome and play that, and you'll see it.
Yeah.
They're actually kind of a comedy group and musicians as well. So
I
it's
love
actually
that name,
entertaining
man.
to watch it.
That's
Yeah,
a great name.
Awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like Bill and Ted type, you know, Wild Stallions.
It's based on, they actually based their performance on a comedian called Michael Paravokian or something like that, very unusual name, who did the same thing but used different songs.
Right.
For a stand-up routine at Kent State. That's where they mentioned it in one of their biopics that they had done, where'd you come up with the idea of the 4-chord song? Well, we watched this video from this guy, and they took, you know, the idea and went out and they looked at all these other songs that were doing the same thing, and then they created their own stage presence for it. So yeah,
that's cool.
It's yeah. So
sorry about that. I'm making a note to check them out. So you were BMOC in high school, and you really fell in love with computers at that point, right?
Yeah, it was my first year in high school where this is just before the TRS-80 came out, or just as the TRS-80 was coming out on the market. And our computer lab didn't have it, but they had this older computer called an Altair 8000, and it was a teletype, and you programmed it by using a ribbon cable, or a ribbon paper ribbon that you would feed into it. It would read the paper ribbon as your program. Yeah, and I programmed it to play baseball.
Oh, cool.
So it would do a random number generator, and it would play baseball against you. And you can say, well, I want to do this kind of pitch. You know, when you're playing defense, you say, you control the pitcher. So this is the kind of pitch I want. And then the computer would try to hit it, you know, and that kind of stuff. And then it would make the play or not make the play. And then when you went on offense, what kind of pitch do you expect? You know, that kind of stuff. And that's my very first program, was writing a baseball program on a computer.
That's cool, man.
I know, it's silly though, if you think about it.
Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
and you're not going to be fucking, you know, building worlds and shit, you know.
Yeah. And then the TRS-80 came out, and I just like wham right into that, man. My parents that year for Christmas, my parents bought me my own TRS-80.
Yeah, from Radio Shack.
From Radio Shack, yep.
Yes. And if you don't know what Radio Shack is, you're too fucking young to be listening to this. All right, just saying.
Radio Shack.
So, do you plan on going to your 20-year reunion in high school?
You know, I'm totally out of connection with my high school. I'm totally out of connection with my college. I have kept up with nobody from either place. I don't know where anybody is. I can barely remember names. I have a yearbook. I have to go back to my yearbook to actually remember people's names. I don't remember anybody. The only person I can sit here and think of that I remember, besides Karen, of course I'm going to remember her, but was the drill team commander, the guy who was one step above me. I remember him. We didn't get along. We didn't get along. Yeah, he's the reason I didn't get drill team commander is because he put some false rumors out about me. So
I hate that bullshit.
Yeah.
No,
typical high school backstabbing bullshit. But
yeah,
I was still happy to be color guard commander because
it's so nice all that shit ended when we left high school.
Oh, no, still well and alive. I'm sure right
Sarcasm.
now. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, what about relationships? in your adult life, right?
I tend towards long term.
Okay.
I'm
Talk
very
about your
traditional.
philosophy, because we've kind of touched base on this a little bit before, and really,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's dive into your perception of what MGTOW is to you.
Up until I was married, I was just your average guy, and actually pretty traditional guy. I was not really uh, um, a hound when it came to women. Um, and I'm still that way to this day, regardless of that whole MGTOW stuff. And I don't go out to bars looking for one night stands and just to nail somebody. And that's just not me. I'm just not that person. And there's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you want to do, that's up to you. That's fine. But I was just never comfortable with that. So all my relationships have been multi-year, most of the time multi-year relationships. I think the shortest relationship I ever had with a girl was at least a year. So yeah. Um, and actually I had a relationship for 4 years, a year longer than my marriage. So, um, but yeah, up until I was married, I was just your average guy. Just I got into cars pretty heavy. Got into communications and computers and stuff like that. I had a CB radio.
Right.
Used to chat with friends all around the state late at night, all that kind of stuff. While I was working on a PC or doing something along that lines. And then I started working for a Fortune 50 company, and I was making really, really good money. I was making 6 figures working for this company, and I was doing executive support. Fortune 50 meaning this company is one of the top 50 profitable countries on the planet. Like you've heard the Fortune 500.
Right. Yeah.
This is Fortune 50. That was where we were. Actually, I think it was number 8 when I was there. Oil company. I think I can get away with some of this stuff without doxing myself. And I was doing executive support. So I was hobnobbing with the CEO and CFO and all that kind of stuff, and they'd have a problem and I'd be, sitting at my desk waiting for the call, and I'd be at their desk in, 30 seconds. How can I help? Oh, so-and-so, it's good to see Hammer. How you doing? I'm trying not to say my real name. And I became real chubby friends with them, that kind of stuff. And one of the divisions of this company took care of, it's an oil company, took care of South America and drilling and all that kind of stuff, and movement of tankers around the ocean, which was kind of part of my job too. Besides executive support, I supported the systems that moved the oil carriers around. And there was a secretary in this part of the company. And as I mentioned, she'll say she was 5'9", but she was a good 5'10". And just a knockout, just a complete knockout. And I was just amazed that she found me attractive at my weight. And we just kind of hit it off, just out of nowhere. And kind of whirlwind. Dated for 6 months. Got engaged, married a year later. And that ended, and we ended on good terms. We just became more of a roommates than spouses. So that ended in a very, natural, this, what about you? Yeah, not me. Yeah, not me either. No flinging of dishes, no yelling and screaming, none of that kind of stuff. I've never really done that my entire life.
There was no precipitating event. It was just kind of evolved.
No, just fell out of love is really what it came down to.
Yeah.
So, but it was civil. It was like, are you feeling it? No, not really. I'm not feeling it either. What do you want to do? Well, we could stay together for a while, see if things turn around. Like, you want to go to counseling? Not really. Neither do I. Let's give it, a couple more months and see if, things change. But if we feel the way we feel, we should probably just, call it quits. Okay. Let's just do that. So it was all very pragmatic, which you'd think with a woman would be, no, there should be throwing of plates and there should be accusations of infidelity and there should be all this drama. There wasn't any. She just wasn't that kind of girl, which is what drew me to her in the first place, really.
Right.
So that ended. And I found out later that there actually was, but she just kept it all in because we had our own friend groups while we were married too. And we were invited to each other's friend groups, and there was no back play. You know, she wasn't cheating on me, I wasn't cheating on her. But one of the girls that was in my friend groups was easily as attractive as she was. And I have a propensity for brunettes, and my wife was a brunette. This girl was a blonde, but she was like cheerleader material. She was just like, you know, very enthusiastic, I guess is the word you And my wife had gotten bad vibes from that, although nothing ever happened between me and her. So, and I wasn't really interested in her anyway. My wife couldn't live that down. So that probably had something to do with it, although I didn't hear about it till after we broke up. And we spent 6 months after we were divorced, still kind of dating. It's kind of like booty call stuff for another 6 months afterwards. So that eventually ended too. But one of my friends in my friend group said to me, he says, wow, he says, you know, your wife is pretty amazing. I was like, yeah, she's a great girl. I said, you know, if you wanted to date her, I wouldn't be upset like that. You know, I know bros before hoes, but really you could do a lot worse. He's like, no, I'm not interested in her. He says, but she didn't take you for a sleigh ride in July. I was like, no, of course not. He says, my wife's going to take me for a sleigh ride in July. I was like, what do you mean? He says, I'm getting a divorce, and she's not allowing me to see my child. I was like, holy shit. He's like, yeah, and she's suing me for spousal support, and it's going to be a big number. He says, I'm going to have to move out of my house and get an apartment. He says, she's going to ruin my life. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to say. What do you say at that point? I said, dude, I'm so sorry. He says, just count yourself lucky that it isn't you. And that process went through, and 3 years later, he killed himself. He couldn't handle it anymore because she wouldn't let him see him at all. Anytime they did get to see it, it was monitored, and every time he went to see her, it was a struggle. She would not show, all that kind of stuff. She played all the games, and he killed himself. So I was like, I wonder how often this is happening. And I started looking into it, and then I realized, holy shit, this happens all the fucking time. Not just a little bit, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, I started looking at statistics, like how often do women initiate divorce? Well, if it's college educated women, 92% of divorces, 92% of divorces are initiated by the wife. And granted, there could be reasons why he's cheating, whatever. But the point is, it's women who do it. It's not guys. How many times they win custody? 81%.
Yeah.
And that number has climbed since then. 81%. It's just like, why would you ever take the risk of losing your child to never seeing your child ever again? Why would you take that risk? You know, if it's not worth it. And I have no problem with relationships. Like I say, I'm very open to long-term relationships. I've known my current girlfriend for 2 years, 2 months. And I love her very much, and I'm very dedicated to her, and I don't look at other women, you know, much. And I don't play. I'm dedicated to her. She's my girl, and I have no interest in anybody else. But I'm never going to marry her, and she knows I'm never going to marry her. I'm never going to sign that piece of paper. And I said to her, if you want to get married, if it's that important that we get married, we can travel to Italy and get married if you want to, because that eliminates all possibility of taking my child. There's no plans for me to have a child, or suing me for support or any of that kind of stuff. Signing that document there doesn't include any of that stuff. Where signing it in the States does. So I don't have a problem with being married. I have a problem with marriage as an institution. So MGTOW is kind of the closest fit to me, but it's not really a fit. It's the only thing I can say that people get an idea.
It sounds like non-traditional, right? It's a traditional.
And I always get this kind of stuff like, all of you MGTOWs, you know, like we have a party, like we have a party and get together and compare notes. It's right there in the word, going your own way,
man. Exactly.
There's no. I don't know anyone else in my real life who feels the way I do about this, because I don't go searching for guys who feel like this. You know, we don't have parties in the afternoon. Did you not go to a, you know, did you not get married today? Yeah, I didn't get married either. That's not it. The whole point of MGTOW is kind of keep it to yourself, you know, as far as how you live your life. Maybe not what you say. People are interested and they want to hear what you want to say about it. And you could say, this is how I feel about this, you know, but I'm not going to try to convince anybody. It's just the way I feel. So yeah, I kind of made a mistake because I got on the Monkey Show and he was having people at one point just come on the show. And I said, you know, I know you guys been talking about this. I said, but I got to let you guys know I am in MGTOW. And holy shit. Oh man, the amount of crap I got. Holy crap.
I don't know, man.
Even the people on his show, you know, for as much as I love Scribe and Monkey and all that kind of stuff, they weren't really behind it either. Scribe said something along the lines of, it's sad or something like that, or like you were giving up relationships entirely. That wasn't it at all.
Right.
Monkey said something along, I don't see the point of it, or something along. Don't quote me on these. This is just something I remember from 3-4 years ago when I was on their show.
Yeah.
The first time. But the worst one, and I'm actually going to call you out, on the air, SDA called me a nitwit.
Wow.
Can't let go of it. I never... And she probably still feels that way, to be honest with you. Because I really haven't changed her mind. I am kind of a nitwit, so... So... Yeah, so I got a lot of crap from coming out and saying that, but it's like I said, it's the closest thing to me. It just means I don't want to get married. It doesn't mean I don't want relationships. I don't want a girlfriend.
Right.
You know, I just don't want to get married.
It doesn't mean you hate women.
No, I don't hate. I love women.
Exactly.
I love women.
Exactly.
All women.
Yeah.
I always have. And like I said, that doesn't matter what color you are or anything else. I have a preference for brunettes that are tall. I mean, it's a preference.
It's always the fanatics that make the religion look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I've dated the rainbow. I've dated everything.
Right.
I love women. Love women a lot.
Yeah.
But
you said rainbow, so yeah. Have you ever dated any dudes?
No.
I had to ask.
No interest in that whatsoever. I am the epitome of masculinity. I have no interest in that whatsoever.
I feel you. So what's the happiest day of your life so far? What does that look like?
It was probably my graduation. Probably the happiest day of my life because I knew that I had set up my future. It wasn't so much that I was like, "Yay, I got a piece of paper." No. I mean, the people who are going to offer me jobs are going to want that piece of paper, but I knew at that point, dude, you're set for life. No matter what happens now, you know, you can make money. You'll always be okay. You don't really need, I never had any support from my siblings. I never really had any support from my parents. They gave me a car to get back and forth to work until I bought my own, but not soon after I bought my own car, I got my own place and got the hell out. So I've been self-sufficient ever since, still am. So yeah, I think the day that I graduated from college was the happiest day. You know, I don't want to get anything wrong. I was very happy when I married my wife. Very happy when I met her, and I was happy with the entire relationship. But if you could pinpoint a specific point in time, if I would have had the big wedding, if I would have had like in the church with 200 people and a reception and all that kind of stuff, maybe that would shift a little bit, but we just went down to the JP and got hooked. Right. So there was no pomp and circumstance to it. So yeah, I would say that saying, fine, I'm out of college. I don't have to deal with learning in a setting anymore. Now I can just, you know, go and use my abilities and make some money and enjoy my life, you know, kind of deal. That was probably the happiest time was the day that I graduated. Cool. And like I said, it was so happy that I actually imbibed.
Exactly. So, all right, what about the worst day of your life so far? What does that look like? How the painful, you know, something?
I really kind of count myself lucky. I don't think I've ever really had much happen to me that made me sad. I mean, my dad passed, but we never had a really relationship. I wasn't even really sad when he passed. I was like, well, he's gone. Next. It just never impacted me. This is going to sound awful. Should I even? I probably. Well, I'm going to say anyway. Screw it. Probably the day that I cried the hardest when I had to put a pet down. That's the day I cried the hardest I've ever cried, is when I had to put my pet down. When I was married, she had a cat already. His name was Oscar. Oh, no. That was my girlfriend. Her the cat's name was George. She had named her cat George, and it was a Siamese. And one morning we were getting ready for work, because we both worked at the same place. That's where I met her. And we had the back patio open, and behind us was a field. And I heard this meerk, 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 meerk. And I turned to her, I said, "You hear this? Yeah, what the hell is that?" I said, "I don't know, maybe a dead bird dying or something like that." She says, "Doesn't sound like a bird to me." I said, "It doesn't sound like anything to me. I don't know what the hell that is." So I continue to get dressed. I'm putting a tie on, getting my tie clip, all that kind of stuff, getting my jacket, all that kind of stuff. She walks out back into the field, and it's not quite up to her knees, up to her shins in tall grass. And she's, "Hammer, Hammer." She's calling me my real name, but Hammer, Hammer. She says, come out here. I'm like, I gotta go to work. We're gonna be late. So I trounce out there in my leather shoes, getting them all wet because of morning dew, and I'm pissed. And she turns around and she's got this little puff of gray. It's just a gray puff, and it barely fits. It fits in one hand. It's just a little tiny. And she turns it, and it's a kitten by itself in the middle of a field.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, how did that get there? And she's like, there ain't any other cats anywhere around here. There's nobody has a cat that owns a cat in anywhere near any of these apartments. She says, I have no idea where this came from. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And she said, well, we can't leave it here. Ugh. It's not like we didn't have a cat box. So she brought it inside, and we kept her. And because her first cat was named George, she named this cat Gracie. George and Gracie.
Burns. Yeah.
Because she was gray. I mean, she was such a small. She could have been born more than like 5 or 8 days ahead of this. She barely had fur on her. She hadn't developed cat coloring. Her nose was still gray. It hadn't pinked. Her eyes were gray. They hadn't turned green or yellow. They were still gray. Her paws were gray. They weren't black or pink. She was 100% gray everywhere. So Gracie just made sense because she had George and this cat was gray. It was written, Did I say my real name? Someone said I say my real name. It doesn't matter. The only person who knows my real name, maybe I said it today, but the only person who knows my real name for sure is Platty.
Well, that's the name. Wow, I hadn't seen or talked to Platypus in a long time.
Yeah, she does. She's the only person who knows my real name because I sent her something. Usually when somebody needs a computer or something like that, or they need, their computer fixed, they send it to me. I have a friend of mine send it back to them so that my name doesn't show up on the shipping receipt. But this had to go out right away, so I just shipped it from my house and it had my name on it. So Platty knows my real name. So anyway. So yeah, we have this kitten. She called her Gracie. So now Gracie, for the fact my wife found her, Gracie didn't want anything to do with my wife. She did not want to have anything to do with it. My wife would walk in the room, that cat would walk out of the room. Didn't like her at all. She wouldn't allow her to be petted, nothing. And she would follow me like a dog. She would follow, literally, if I walk upstairs, she'd go upstairs with me. If I laid down, she'd get in bed with me. If I threw something, she would grab it, she'd bring it back. She was a dog in a cat's outfit.
That's crazy. Kind of cool.
Yeah, she was an amazing cat. I wonder if, yeah, we're just on Discord, so I can't share my screen or anything like that. But I have a picture of her that I actually submitted to Cat Fancy that they didn't publish. But
You'll
when
put
she
in my general. Feel free to load it up.
Oh yeah. Let me do that while I try to explain. So she used to sleep in a kind of an odd way. She would put her one paw underneath her chin and put the other paw straight out, and that's how she would sleep. So she could always just look at you if she wanted to. But she was something else. Do I have a picture of her on my computer? I have one on my phone. I always keep a picture of her on my phone, but I don't think I have a picture readily available on my computer. But I'll drop it in chat or in general later if I can track it down.
Okay.
So
all right. So kind of shifting gears here. What about anime? Do you have a favorite series or character?
the only anime that I've ever seen, because I'm not an anime guy, Satsu's gonna hate me, but the only anime I've ever watched was Akira.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one I've ever seen. I mean, I see stuff, I'm browsing websites and I see someone has a thumbnail of some kind of waifu anime, whatever, but I generally don't click on it. So I have this weird thing. Who did I have this conversation with? I think I had it with my healthcare provider. She was over and we were talking about art or something like that. And I says, it could be worse. I could be watching anime or something like that. Kind of put it down. And she says, "Oh, I like anime. I like cartoons. I like." And I was like, I have no interest in any of that kind of stuff. Things like especially cartoons, not so much anime, because I can see the allure with anime. Mm-hmm. I have a respect for anime.
Right.
But when I hear a 40-year-old woman telling me about how they watch the Cartoon Network, I can't. I can't. Lady, you're 40 years old. Why are you watching SpongeBob? What the hell's wrong with you? I mean, I can. If my wife used to like, was it my wife or my girlfriend after that used to like watching Archer. Mm-hmm. I can watch Archer, because it's a mature theme and it's conservatively drawn, and it's definitely not for kids. Mm-hmm. But there's no way I'm going to watch fucking Teletubbies or SpongeBob or any of that kind of stuff. It's like, how old are you? Grow up.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I have a very strong emotion towards that stuff. So, please don't hate me. I don't like cartoons. I just don't like it. I just think, it's fine if you're 6.
So, all right, if you could know the absolute truth about one question only, what would that be?
The absolute truth about one question. Well, I guess the existential "why are we here" would probably fill in quickly, but along those same lines, there's the why am I here? Not why are we here? But the more selfish version, why am I here? Am I supposed to be doing something that I'm not doing? I mean, are we at the end just gone? And that's it? Because we don't remember what we were like before we were born. So you can't be scared of what's going to happen after you die.
Right.
Because you've already been dead back when you weren't born yet. So I don't fear death because it's just going back to the way I was before I was born. So it's nothingness, and some people are terrified from that. And no, I've already done that. I was before I was born. I was nothingness, so I'll go back to being nothingness. It's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. But I do feel like sometimes I think to myself, because I've seen some strange coincidences that didn't make any sense to me. And I think to myself, is there something? Am I missing something? Is there something going on? I brought up Catholic, but. I believe church is in the heart, not down the street.
You ever read any Carl Jung?
No.
His theory of synchronicity suggests that there's a lattice work that underlies all reality, and whether it's a consciousness behind it or not, he wasn't certain. But that's what he would call events like that. It was a synchronicity, right? Mm-hmm. That's a synchronized series of events occurring at the same time. Like if I'm stealing this right out of Repo Man, like if I said the word plate or shrimp and you were thinking of a plate of shrimp right then.
Oh, right.
Repo Man. That movie is dated, but it's a fantastic record of the mindset of humanity at that point in time. I highly recommend that.
I found a picture of my kitty, and
nice.
I can't post it in general. I just drag and drop it and it won't let me do it.
Yeah, was it too big or was it thin?
No, it's ignoring me entirely. Even if I drag and drop it, looks at me like, yeah, and. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to say hi to the people in chat while you're doing that.
Yeah, do that, man.
Chaos Eve, Poppy, who's telling me I'm doxing myself. Yikes. And Duck Dog, Michael Hatfield. Yeah, I just want to say, Costin was in chat earlier too. Costin's OG. Costin was there at the very beginning too.
From the get-go. I remember Costin.
Yeah.
You should be able to embed links. There. All right. Check to see if you can do it now. Sorry about that.
No worries.
There was a bunch of people that were posting links and instead of the shill, right?
Oh, you're good with this.
Can do this.
There's a picture of my kitty.
I'm gonna try to put it up.
She ended up with green eyes and pink nose, and her paws, the toes on her paws had white fur on the top of the toes, but the rest of her paw was gray.
Again, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up now.
She was still basically gray, even when she got older. She wasn't calico, although she has a little bit of tan on the top between her eyes, right. And her paws were gray except for the actual toes. The top of the toes were gray fur or white fur. I'm sorry, white fur. You can see it in the picture where she has her paw underneath her chin,
right,
and you can see the paw sticking out the other side, and it's white. Yeah, she's my kitty. Even to this day, when I think about her, I get sad because I miss her so much. The only other thing that's made me sad in my life was there's a minion who had her brother die recently, last couple of days. And that really upset me because I had DM'd him and stuff like that. So,
oh, that's horrible. You know,
I'm searching through my DMs and I see his name go by. It's kind of like, oh man. That really made me sad. I had a hard time with that. There really hasn't been any touch of death, I guess you might say.
Right.
Except for my dad. My brother and sister are still alive. My mom is 92 years old in a week. And she's a tank. You cannot stop her. She's completely healthy, and I mean, she's in much better shape than I am. I'm in the hospital all the time. She hasn't been to the hospital in 20 years.
And this is your cat for everybody that's checking this out.
Gracie. That's Gracie. She's so cute. That was the picture I sent to Cat Fancy.
Nifty.
The reason they didn't publish it is because I cut her ear off.
Very subtle. Oh, really?
Mm. They said if I didn't cut her ear off, they would have published it. And I was like,
man. All right. Well, continuing on, we're trudging the road here. Asked you the truth question. 40 years. What will people be nostalgic for? Do you think?
In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for? Well, this is going to be quite the guess, but I'm going to say the ability to drive your own car.
Interesting. That's a great answer. You know,
in 40 years, you will not be driving your car.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe even in 20 years, you're not going to be driving your own car.
Probably not.
If you've been keeping up on what's going on with Tesla, that car basically drives itself now. The only thing it doesn't do, and they're still working on it, is it doesn't understand traffic lights. And what they're going to do is they're going to put Wi-Fi on all the lights to communicate with the cars, let them know that they're red or not. So that's going to go away too. So cars are not going to be able to stop at red lights. They already can stop at stop signs because they know the stop sign's always a stop sign.
Right.
And they can always look at the other cars. They have radar, so they can look at the other cars. So they know all about all that. But the only thing they're really having a problem with at the moment is traffic lights. And it can maintain distance of a car in front of you. It can get off a ramp by itself. It could do everything by itself. And we're in 2020. So by the time 40 years goes by, there's not going to be any more ICE cars. That's the end of that internal combustion engine, ICE cars. Right. That's going to be a thing of the past. And you're not going to be driving your own car. As a matter of fact, you probably won't own a car. There would be no reason for you to own a car. If you want to go somewhere, you just bring up whatever kind of pad you have. If you're not just poking in the air by that time, and say, I want to go there at this place at this time. And when you're ready, the car will drive up in your driveway. You'll get it. It'll take you there. There'll be no need for you to have your own.
So where's the weirdest place you ever had to go to the bathroom? Do you like that segue there?
The weirdest place I've ever had to go to the bathroom. Well, I live on a farm, 126 acres in the wilderness of Pennsylvania.
A big urinal.
I do have issues with my digestive tract. And there's a weird thing that happens with me. We haven't been able to track down exactly what's causing this, but from time to time I'll eat something and it will go through my stomach and everything will be fine. But the moment it hits my intestines and starts getting nutrients pulled out, some foods trigger my intestines to empty themselves. I know it's disgusting, but you asked a question about where
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get pretty intimate here. So I never really know when it's gonna happen. But I wasn't really paying too much attention. I just had a snack, and I thought it'd be no big deal. I just had some French fries with a little bit of gravy on them, and I didn't pay attention to the ingredients in the gravy. I usually have problems with French fries. They make my stomach a little upset, but
right.
It was a gravy I hadn't bought before, and I wasn't really paying attention. Apparently, there was something in it that my intestines didn't like. So I was out walking my property, and it was spring, so the temperature was great. I just had on a t-shirt, a pair of shorts, and tennis shoes. And I'm just walking the property. I do from time to time just to make sure there's nothing odd or unusual going on in the property. And I got that you have 10 seconds to drop your drawers or you're going to go in your drawers. So with nature, and there's on one corner of my property, there is a family of turkeys. There's about 10 of them that kind of hang around this area, and in full view of the turkey flock. Dropped my drawers and off I went. That's probably the most unusual place. Because it's the middle of the day, and I can see the road from my house, from where I'm at, because the property kind of goes up a little bit in the back. So I can kind of see down, and I can see cars. They probably couldn't see me because it's far enough away.
Right, but still, the feeling, I'm sure, was...
It was just like, geez, I feel kind of exposed here, But, you gotta go. And, leaves were the answer.
We would just recently lost James Lipton. And
yeah, I heard.
With him in mind, and this is my homage to him, because part of what I do is kind of based on him. At the end? I've got this one question I want to ask. Yeah, but we're taking a question. So people, if you got a question for Hammer, go ahead and start loading them up in the chat and put about 3 or 4 question marks after that. So we'll be able to know that those are the ones to ask. I appreciate that.
Be gentle with me, chat, okay?
They will. They're always good.
All right.
You got a good chat there. So what is your favorite curse word and why?
A lot of people would say the F word, but I really like bullshit much better. Because most of the time when I curse, it's through frustration.
Right.
And I need more than just one syllable for that. Oh, bullshit. You know, like I'll be playing a game, I'll get killed, and there's no reason why I should have been killed. You know, someone did something stupid and put me in a bad position, and I got killed. I could say the F word, but just that bullshit just really gets my emotions out. So I know it's not the nastiest word on the planet. You know, it's not the F word, it's not the C word, but it is the one that expresses me the best. You know, that
Yeah.
you know, it just
I
Hi,
get
Kev.
it. Yes. Kevkey. Hey, sweetheart. So what would you name your yacht?
Probably Hammer Time. I mean, it would be so obvious to do that. It doesn't require a lot of thinking to do that. Maybe that's a kind of a cop out. I don't really need the chance to really think about it. But I probably would call it that. The only other option I would probably give would I would call it after my cat. I might call it Gracie. But probably Hammer Time, just because it fits too easy.
See, I love that whole George Burns, Gracie Allen.
Me too.
Yeah, that.
Me too.
You know, because that's a part of history that people aren't going to understand when they hear this unless they know.
None of the people in chat have any idea who we're talking about.
Say goodnight, Gracie. You know,
George Burns.
Exactly. And then him, you know, he lived to like be 105?
Yeah,
something like that. You know, and was always surrounded by Playboy models. That was yeah. Is the old man, you know? It's like
very, very Hugh Hefner, absolutely.
Very happy, yes. All right, so like I said, chat, you got your questions queued, pop them in, and we'll talk about YouTubers and YouTubing for a second again. Who would you say is a criminally undersubscribed YouTuber that you watch?
That's so easy. Scribe. That is so easy. I know Satsu uses Satsu undersubbed, and there's no doubt about it. But for the kind of quality, I don't want to make Scribe sound so great. He's a level-headed guy, so I can say his stuff and not, you know, be blowing smoke. But for the kind of quality he produces and the insight that he has, and it's just general intelligence about things. Yeah, I don't understand why he has like very few subs. It's just, I just look at him like, I don't get that. I don't get it. Yeah, and every time he puts something out, I tweet it. I'm like, people should be watching this. This is good stuff, you know?
It is. Well, you know, and his stuff is consistent. You know what to expect. It's got a nice gimmick to it. You know, the got it thing. And and he's always, you know, he if anything, he airs, you know, in with detail. Right.
And there's a sincerity to his stuff. He really does want to learn what people are trying to say. He's not just there to mock them. He really does want to understand it, you know? So it's not just look at me poking fun at them. It's not just that simple. He actually, wait a minute. Are you saying this? And he tries to deconstruct it, and people don't.
I remember when he was like a real, like a progressive-y kind of liberally kind of guy back in the day, you know. It's nice. It's nice to see him, you know, explore, you know. And I think that that's something that a lot of people get set in their ways, and they want to explore, you know, what's going on and what they really think about shit. Right.
He does have a great presentation too. The whole, you know, someone will say,
The
"I'm
branding
Dr. So and so,"
cool.
and Scribe will say, "Hi, I'm Scribe." You know, like he's actually talking to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other one is, they say, "Well, we're going to learn about this," and he goes, "Oh boy," you know, I want to learn about that. It just makes me smile.
It's exciting. All right, what about overhyped YouTubers?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who would you say is like an overhyped YouTuber? Somebody you don't understand.
Overhyped.
Yes.
Overhyped. Geez, I hate to say something bad about somebody. Although I guess I've said a couple bad things already.
It's not bad, you know. Yeah. Doing good.
There are some people just not my cup of tea. It's not because they're bad. It's just that there's no button. It just doesn't. There's no click for me. It just doesn't resonate, I guess is the word. And they're popular people, but for some reason I can't. Drunken Uncle.
Okay.
Everybody seems to love him. But
Okay.
I don't know if it's because the accent is so strong, because I have no problems with Ira Alex. I think she's awesome.
Mm.
You know, and I particularly love accents. I'm really big into accents. That's why I have such a passion for the people in Australia. That's why I like Farzuzmi. That's what, I mean, one of the reasons. She's fantastic otherwise, but Claudia, Punisher, Terry, all those people in Australia. I'm missing somebody, I'm sure. Bearing that I just love the Australian accent, and it's the same thing goes for the UK, and not just you know, certain areas, not just like London or something like that, but like AC Clear, she's up in the Netherlands. There's a lot of people who have accents. I just please just keep talking. I don't care what you say. Just read me the phone book. Just keep talking. I don't care. You know, but there's just that one. I don't know why it is. Maybe because it's so dramatically different. I don't know. I just can't get my head around it. So, sorry, Drunkle.
Got a real flip delivery. I can understand that. Yeah, man, I mean, you're just being honest. Shit. You know,
I mean, it's funny. I watched a guy called Lost in the Pond. There's a YouTube channel called Lost in the Pond. It's a guy who came from London and lives in the United States and still has his accent. I love the channel. You know, so it's not the accents are very close. So it's not I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm going to stop now.
Well, so what about content wise for you? Have you got anything on the horizon that you're working on, or?
I've been thinking about getting back into doing Minions broadcasts, and we have a solid lineup of people. So what I would do is I literally be butting in on someone else's time, but you know, maybe there's room for me one night a month or something like that, just to run it. I've invested in a 4K monitor.
Nice.
So I want to broadcast a Minion stream in 4K. And there is no reason to do that. There's no reason to do that, except to just show everybody how big my dick is. That's the only reason.
Well, at least you're honest, man. I appreciate that. You know,
the content that you get from Lords of the Night is excellent content, and it's in 720p. It doesn't have to be high res. It's just a bunch of circles on the screen. But I'm already doing 1440. I don't know anyone else is doing that. And I just got a 4K monitor, so I can do 4K. So I just want to be able to, you know, if anyone says, oh, you know, you watch my, are you streaming in 4K though? You know, that kind of deal. Literally, that's the reason why I got a 4K monitor. It's just so I can stream at 4K. No other reason.
That's nifty. I need another monitor.
I have nice monitors already. There was no real reason for me to buy this, but it was a good price. And I was like, 4K, here I come. Anyway,
I hear you.
It's stupid.
It's cool. I don't know. I'm kind of like you though. When it comes to shit like that, there's a perfectionist in me that's very competitive, highly competitive.
What I need to do is get a soundboard set up so I can play music that the guests can hear ahead of time. Because I don't know if you ever see my streams, but I actually play music at not ahead of the show. I don't do the 10-minute countdown timer. I don't do that. But I start the show and I start playing music right away. And I do the Hammer streams. I have a logo for Hammer streams. And then I go to the disclaimer. And then I go into the background for the show. And then I start talking to people. But the way that works is the music goes out over OBS. And people who are in Hangouts or Discord with me can't hear it. So I want to change that so they can hear it. So when the music's coming on, they know that the show has started and not to talk. Because a lot of them don't hear anything. They figure, I need to say something.
Right.
You know, and then they're talking over the music. So I need to get like a soundboard. I need to get that set up. For as much as I know about OBS, I don't know how to do that kind of outside OBS because that's not a function of.
Yeah, I've got Banana where I can run like a Winamp.
Yeah, I hear Banana is the answer.
Yeah, the Potato's got too much shit on it. It's too many bells and whistles, and Anyway,
I think that's what Jack Gunsky uses for his stream too. I think he uses Banana.
Yeah. Before we part, it's our tradition to show your channel and a final word for chat. I don't think we've gotten any questions.
One question
blows my mind. Where is it?
RBA Dar says, Hammer, what is your favorite neighborhood in Philly? What's your favorite neighborhood in Philly? I didn't really have a favorite neighborhood, but I spent a lot of time on South Street. That's where all the good food is.
Mm.
So I don't really have a favorite neighborhood, but I did spend a lot of time growing up on South Street in Philadelphia. I actually had a significant accent. What you hear now today is not how I sounded when I was 20. I sounded like Rocky when I was 20. I still have that accent. Still talk like that if I want to. It's right there.
Me.
Like I know.
Me.
It sounds like it's
Mickey.
yeah. It's somewhere between Philadelphia and New York is the accent. But when I got my job in Virginia for that Fortune 50 company, they said, "Well, you're kind of be working in the South now, so y'all need to get rid of that accent. So we're gonna send you to 2 weeks training for you to lose the accent." And the money was, send me wherever you want, you know?
Yeah, right.
Fine. And they taught me how to talk like I'm speaking now. Hammer Pattergino's Pat. That's an easy call.
I feel you. Well, we're at a place where I'm out of questions. So technically,
yeah, I was just reading.
I want to make sure I got everything.
I was just reading what Dar said. Pattergino's. He's asking which Subway cheesesteak establishment is better. Pat's better. That's
what everybody says that live there. I've heard that name several times. Well, shit, man. So watch Millions of the Zoo, I guess, and catch you when they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I always, whenever I'm pimping stuff, I always pimp out the Minions because me and Reject kind of established that group.
And it's a good bunch of people.
I was the first person to do a live stream. If you look at Minions #1, first of all, please forgive me because it's awful. I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time. There's actually a very small story that I'll try to get through it really quickly. We're in Discord, and I said we had discussed a couple times. We really should. We have a lot of good conversations. We should probably do our own stream. And one night Regis says, "Go do it." I was like, "Well, yeah, but I need script. I need to hammer." No, go do it. Just go do it. And she just wouldn't let me go. And I was like, "Fine." So I fired up YouTube and I just grabbed a couple people and we started talking. And it was quite embarrassing. But I always try to promote them because it's really some of the best people on the internet are in that group. I really love my Minions. Very protective of them.
Very solid bunch of people.
They really are. And the other part of that is I always pimp out my Twitter because I live on Twitter.
That's right.
And I like talking to people on Twitter. So and I'm pretty much I turn my phone off for the interview. But I always have my phone around me somewhere. So if somebody says something, I'm going to see it right away.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to tell everybody goodbye. Next week, I'm going to have Johnny Hellcat in the chair. All right. Mm-hmm. So we got that coming up, and of course, Cream Stream and Hot Takes is going to start back soon. So I don't know when, but we're trying to look at April. But on that note, you got anything else you want to say or shield before we split?
No, just if you guys want to have a conversation, hit me up on Twitter. I'm a Twitter guy.
Killer. All right.
At the One Ton Hammer.
The Twitter is in the description, as well as the channel for the Millions of the Zoo. So click it and hit that subscribe button. Remember to like and subscribe my stuff, please. I'm real cringy about asking for money, so I won't. But if you want to throw some at me, I'm not going to yell at you. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to say bye. What about you, Hammer?
Yeah, I'm going to say bye. See you guys.
Every week on Friday, midnight Eastern, the Cream Stream, the weekly world news for YouTube. Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern, the ice cream interviews. Fascinating people. Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, Hot Takes with the Butter Baron. Watching horrible shit so you don't have to. Subscribe to Irate Prostate now.